While the Russian army still manages to score minor successes in the Donbas, the problems within the Russian Federation itself are escalating dramatically. Constant drone strikes, combined with relentless hacker attacks and crashing servers, are increasingly disrupting the daily lives of ordinary Russian citizens. For many, it has become a harsh reality that their bank accounts are suddenly frozen without warning, leaving them cut off from their own money. Airlines are hacked, entire flight schedules are cancelled without replacement, and cities lose access to their internet, electricity, and mobile networks in an instant. Across the country, critical systems are collapsing, and no one knows when, or even if, they will ever be restored. What we're witnessing in Russia right now is not a series of isolated Ukrainian attacks. No, this is the orchestrated, systematic breakdown of the entire Russian state. But let's dive deeper into what's really happening. If we take a closer look at the reports coming out of Russia over the past few days, it becomes strikingly clear that Putin is facing enormous problems. His country is falling victim to cyberattacks on a daily rhythm, with vital sectors crumbling one after another. Take, for example, what happened to Aeroflot, Russia's largest airline. On Monday, Aeroflot was forced to cancel over 50 flights in both directions, effectively bringing air traffic in the largest country on Earth to a partial standstill. Two pro-Ukrainian hacker groups claimed responsibility for the massive cyber attack that caused the disruption. The Kremlin called the situation alarming, and lawmakers described it as a wake-up call for Russia. The Prosecutor General's office confirmed the incident was a cyber attack and announced a criminal investigation. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said, "The information we're currently seeing in public media is indeed concerning. The threat of hackers is a danger that all major companies serving the public face. And yet, despite Russian propaganda trying to downplay the damage, we need to be very clear. The damage inside Aeroflot is enormous." According to Aeroflot, 7,000 servers were destroyed. 12 terabytes of confidential data were exfiltrated, including flight logs, internal memos, executive communications, and the personal data of every passenger. The attack was claimed by Belarusian cyber partisans and the Ukraine-aligned hacker group Silent Crow. They revealed they had maintained access to Aeroflot's servers for over a year. And if anyone thinks this attack was the end of it, they are making a colossal mistake. Because shortly after Aeroflot's collapse, the Kremlin itself became the next target of coordinated cyber attacks. While most media outlets focused on the Aeroflot attack, a far more significant story was almost entirely overlooked. Pro-Ukrainian hackers didn't just manage to shut down Russia's largest airline, they also crippled the Kremlin's central IT network. Just hours after Aeroflot systems went dark, Russia's main government service portal crashed. This portal is used for everything: pensions, tax documents, healthcare records, digital IDs, all suddenly inaccessible. Millions of people were left without access to essential services, without documents, without even a way to identify themselves. Following the Aeroflot breach, a massive outage was reported on Russia's Gosuslugi state portal. According to the Moscow Times, which cited data from Down Detector, the largest number of reports came from Moscow and St. Petersburg, but problems were also widespread in the Yamalo-Nenets Autonomous Okrug and the regions of Nizhny Novgorod, Kaluga, Tver, and Sverdlovsk. As these systems collapse and everyday life becomes increasingly restricted for ordinary Russians, what does the strongman in the Kremlin do? What does Putin do? Nothing. The Kremlin issued no meaningful statement. They gave no timeline for recovery, no public reassurance. Officials blamed vague technical problems and said nothing more. But the attacks kept coming. On the very same day, Zhukovsky International Airport was also hit. Its digital infrastructure failed completely, once again with no warning, no details, no accountability. Within less than 24 hours, Russia experienced a synchronized digital breakdown, paired with simultaneous drone strikes, a complete failure of the state's ability to secure its own airspace and cyberspace. Even today, reports are coming in from citizens saying their tax accounts remain frozen. They still can't access their medical records. They are unable to renew passports or ID cards. The state's digital system remains offline. And Putin couldn't have handled this crisis any worse. It's not just the fact that these attacks happened in the first place that makes the Kremlin look weak. It's the complete failure of the state's response that reveals how fragile Putin's regime has become. Because the first rule of any crisis is simple: you must control the narrative. You must take charge of the story and push your version of events. But the Kremlin is doing the exact opposite. They are saying nothing. And if you are the government, your country is under attack, and you stay silent. Do you know what that creates? Panic. Because at that moment, everyone realizes that the Russian leadership has no idea how deep these attacks truly went, and they have no clue when or if they will regain control. Thanks to drones and cyberattacks hitting the Kremlin, we are once again seeing how weak Putin's regime truly is. Yes, on the battlefield, the Kremlin tries to project strength by throwing soldier after soldier into certain death, hoping to capture a strip of forest. But if we look closer, there are no signs of real strength left inside Russia. And this is why Putin's summer offensive in Donbass is destined to fail. But that's a topic for another video. Because Putin's forces are not only failing militarily, but his once feared FSB is now collapsing on all fronts. Let's take a look at that. When we examine these cyber attacks on Russia, one key question arises very quickly. Where was the agency that's supposed to prevent such attacks? Where was the FSB? What's happening inside the FSB right now is fascinating, and their so-called solutions to these problems are even more remarkable. Putin's Grand Intelligence Service has distinguished itself during these cyber attacks mainly through sheer incompetence. Directorate T, which is responsible for digital infrastructure and transportation systems, is being described on Russian telegram channels as chaotic and paralyzed. No one knows what to do next. They understand the problem is massive, but they have absolutely no idea how to fix it. All of this chaos stems from a simple, long-standing Kremlin policy. Loyalty is valued over competence. How could the Aeroflot disaster even happen? It's important to understand that, in typical Russian fashion, Aeroflot's cybersecurity team consisted of political appointees and pensioners who were there simply to collect a nice salary. The first analysis already shows that basic cybersecurity measures were completely neglected. Antivirus software had expired. Passwords hadn't been changed for years, long before the war even started. Log files hadn't been updated in years either. The breach went unnoticed for months. Staff only realized something was wrong when servers started actively deleting themselves. They sat there wondering, why is everything disappearing? Why can't I access any files? And then it hit them. Maybe we're being hacked. And the best part? They called in Russia's top cybersecurity experts from the FSB to ask, what should we do? How do we get the hackers out? How do we stop this attack? And do you know what the best suggestion was, the one they actually implemented? They said, just physically cut the power at Aeroflot's headquarters. That way you can stop the data leak. They had no other idea how to halt the attack. Imagine that. The best solution from your country's top security agency is to pull the plug and pray the data stops leaking. That's the level of incompetence we're dealing with. What we're seeing here is a clear indication of how ineffective the FSB has become. The once feared Russian intelligence service has been reduced to a joke. I mean, even a 5-year-old could have come up with the unplug it solution when their Nintendo was acting up. And the worst part for the Kremlin and the FSB's group of clueless bureaucrats? The most devastating attacks are yet to come. The hackers have already announced that the next waves are prepared and will strike soon. They even claimed they've planted traps that the government won't have time to fix. In the near future, we will see a flood of sensitive information released from inside the Russian government and major defense companies. The hackers also said they had breached RT Solar, the Kremlin's own cybersecurity provider, the very company tasked with protecting Rosatom, Kalashnikov, and other critical defense institutions. They promised major leaks from these hacks in the coming days. This isn't random sabotage or simple vandalism. This is a systematic strategy of attrition, a deliberate plan to erode Russia's strength from within. And at the same time, these attacks are steadily alienating the Russian people from Putin. Because the more attacks occur without any explanation from the Kremlin, the more pathetic and weak the dictator in the Kremlin looks. The myth of the unstoppable Russian steamroller is being shattered right before our eyes. But now, I want to hear your thoughts. How do you see these cyber attacks on Russia? And what surprises do you think we'll witness in the coming days? Let me know in the comments. I'm looking forward to the discussion. If you liked the video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell. Stay safe and see you soon.